Hey there, this is Michelle, and today I'm going to talk about how knowing what you don't want and understanding what you're tolerating in your life can really help you get clarity on what you do want and can help you really hone in on what your true goals are. Because let me tell you, from someone who's done it more than a few times in my life, going after a goal and getting that goal after a lot of work, a lot of time, just a lot of effort to get there. And then you have it right there in your hand and you realize, oh, this isn't what I wanted at all. This isn't going to make me happy. Very dissatisfying and extremely unfulfilling. But most of us have done that at least once or twice in our lives or a few times in our lives. We think we want something that's new and shiny, but in reality, all we need is to acknowledge that something is in our life that we are tolerating. And if we can acknowledge that and figure out what it is, sometimes it's just a minor tweak that we can go tweak on one end or the other, and there you go, problem solved. So tolerating is a normal part of our lives. We all go through tolerating things for one reason or another. And it's normal. It's something that we need to address when it starts getting bigger. You can't let it get to the point where it's grating on you, where it's just the pebble in your shoe that keeps bugging you, or it becomes something worse, where it's created a full limp or something in you. We've got to address this quickly before it gets out of hand. So understanding that toleration is part of our lives, but when it starts getting too far, then we need to address it. So I'm going to give you a little story about one of my favorite people in the world, my dad. And then I'm going to give you an exercise that you can take with you anywhere you go. So I asked my father one day how he decided he wanted to be a civil engineer. And his answer was actually very straightforward. He said he was digging ditches to create a new roadway in Fort Worth, Texas. Texas, summer, hot. So he was working in the summer, and he said, I was hot, I was thirsty, and I was covered in dirt because all the dust and the grime was sticking to my sweat. And I'm like, ugh. He said it was so dusty, he could taste the dirt in between his teeth. And I was like, oh, sounds horrible. So, and then he added, I really didn't like that job, but I needed it at the time. Okay, I understand that too. So he said he was working away, doing his shoveling, and all of a sudden he saw a pickup stop, and a guy in a pressed white shirt got out of this pickup. He put on his hard hat, had his clipboard, and he went to talk to the foreman. And so they chatted for a little while, and then it became very clear that this man in the hard hat was starting to give directions on what needed to happen next. And then when he was done talking, he got back into his air-conditioned truck, and he drove off. So my dad said he asked the guy next to him, hey, who's that? Who's that guy? What, the guy in the truck? Who's that? And he says, oh, he's a civil engineer for this project. So with a laugh in his voice, he said, I immediately thought, I don't know what that guy does, but I want that job. And funny thing, he got it. He got the job. A few years later, after serving his country, he came back. He went to the University of Texas at Austin. Yeah, I'm going to say it. Hook 'em horns. And he got his degree in civil engineering, and that was the beginning of a very successful career that he absolutely loved. He loved being an engineer, and he was really, really good at it. So, I mean, granted, that's just a short story, but it's designed to just have a few pieces that I wanted to point out to you, a few observations. Number one, clarity. He didn't really know what he was going to be doing, but he knew that he was not going to be doing manual labor for the rest of his life. I mean, summers in Texas, oh my gosh. So that was the one thing he could take. He could throw it into a little ball and throw it out the window, because he goes, I'm not going to be doing this for the rest of my life. That alone, just knowing that he was not going to be doing that, gave him great clarity. The second is action. I didn't put this in the story, but he said that after he saw this man, he went to the library and started getting books and trying to look up information on what exactly does a civil engineer do. So he did perform to his due diligence, he did his research, and as he started getting clearer and clearer on these responsibilities, that reinforced that picture in his mind. That picture he was envisioning, it just helped get a clearer picture for him because he took action. The next thing was decision. I mean, once he found out that his interest, his sensibilities, his personality were well suited for the responsibilities and the skill sets needed to be an engineer, he said, okay, that's it. I'm going. That's what I'm going to be. I'm going to be a civil engineer. And then the last part was follow through despite the hardship. I mean, he was going to a school on the GI Bill. I believe that's what it's called, the GI Bill. And money was always very scarce. It was just kind of a tough time for him and my mother. They went through significant hardships, but they persevered. He graduated with his civil engineering degree, and he started his job. He started his career at that point. So now, granted, he was in that job he was tolerating, at digging ditches at 17 or 18 years old, because he had to be in that job. And that's just, again, a normal part of our lives. That's just, sometimes we do have to tolerate things. He came from a low income family, a low income neighborhood. So from the outside, things did not look very good for him. His options seemed to be limited, especially back then. But I don't know. I believe that even at that young age, at 17 or 18 years old, he knew deep down inside he was meant for different things. And with that knowing, that kind of opened his eyes, that opened his mind up to saying, what's around me? Because in this process of doing this job that he really didn't enjoy and that he was tolerating, he found his career path, a career path that he absolutely loved. And that was because he stayed open to possibility. So that's just a few things I wanted to point out there. And, we all have periods, we have seasons of going through toleration. Sometimes we're busy and we just don't have time to get to change whatever it is that needs to be changed. Sometimes maybe we're in a job and we're looking for a new job and we haven't found one yet. So we're going to have to tolerate our current job so we'll continue to have an income. But then sometimes, and I think this is really important to note, sometimes we're just not aware of the reason that we just seem to suddenly become frustrated or snippy or angry or, depressed or whatever. We feel like these emotions just suddenly overcome us. And the reality is sometimes it's just we've hit our toleration limit and we need to address what we are tolerating in our lives. I mean, our toleration tank is full and your body and your mind are saying, oh, nope, enough. You're full. You need to do something. Okay, I'm going to give you a quick exercise to help you figure out what you're tolerating. When I do this exercise, I do not limit myself, and I would encourage you not to do that either. My list runs from home projects to something in my business to people who are annoying me to my frustration with a lack of time. I feel like I'm running all day long. So the main thing is don't close yourself down. Think in the big chunks. Think in financial, for physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, work related, relationship related. Just kind of think in big chunks if you get stuck during this. But the reality is you're just going to get a piece of paper and a pen. You're going to get your timer, get your phone ready and put the timer on for 2 minutes. Before you do that, right at the top, what am I tolerating? So at the top, you're just going to write on a clean sheet of paper, what am I tolerating? You're going to hit start on your timer and you're going to answer the question. And go as fast as you can. Speed is important here because you're not going to sit there and analyze it. I wonder why I wrote that down. No, you're going to analyze it later. So that's not the point. If you repeat it, that's fine. Repeat it as many times as you need to. If you get stuck, think about some different areas like the financial or the physical or mental or a spiritual or whatever. Look at those areas as well. Maybe you kind of got stuck in one area. But the reality is fill up the entire 2 minutes with writing, thought. Do not analyze, because when your 2 minutes is up, you are going to analyze. You're going to look at your sheet of paper and you're going to start circling the items that you wrote down the most. So a lot of times you might have one I wrote 10 times, one I wrote 5 times, and one I wrote 3 times or whatever. Take those 3 items, and those are the 3 items that you probably need to address now. If an item seems like you're not really sure why you wrote it down, you didn't realize you were even tolerating it, I would encourage you to take that and spend some time to go a little deeper. That you can do that through prayer or meditation. You can do that through just thinking about it. You can do that through really just kind of tossing it around in your mind and saying, what do I need to know? Because sometimes they are not readily apparent. I mean, our subconscious sees so many things that we're not even aware of yet. Maybe you're getting a blister from your new shoes. Maybe you're getting a blister on your right heel and your subconscious already knows that. And now you've given it away for your subconscious to tell you, hey, woohoo, you're getting a blister on your right heel. And you would have had no idea until you actually had the blister on your right heel. You're just giving your brain an opportunity to just spill onto the page and give you some of these really great ideas. So I would love to find out how things turned out. So you can go to my Facebook page and comment there. If you want a little bit more information on clarity, I go into that further in my ACE Essentials class, which is my mini course. It's designed to help you live a purposeful and passionate life. And that's going to be opening soon. To recap, tolerating situations is a normal part of our life as long as they don't go on too long. I do hope you have a wonderful day, and I hope it's a refreshing and peaceful day. You take care of yourself, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.